living. Shop Cannon Maytag Home Appliance Center in Norfolk or online at cannonmaytag.com.
Tune in to News Channel Nebraska this Sunday to watch the 60th annual Wilbur Check Days Parade presented by First Student. Our coverage begins at 2 p.m. Central, and you can watch all of the festivities statewide on any of these providers as well as your local cable provider. The parade will also be streamed online as well as on newschannelnebraska.com. Coverage also presented by Wilbur Care Center and the Wilbur Lions Club.
Hi, Fire.
Good morning, 8 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock Mountain. Thanks for joining us on News Channel Nebraska. Coming up this hour, a tragic update to the search for a missing child in Omaha. We'll have the latest details on the way. And Nebraska not immune from wildfire season. Details on a blaze burning in the Panhandle and much more. But first, your AccuWeather forecast.
High fire danger is in place today across many of our western communities. All these counties here highlighted in pink are under red flag warnings, meaning no burning is being allowed today, even trying to avoid any outdoor activities that could generate a spark, right down to mowing your lawn. That blade hits a rock, it could generate a spark and cause a wildfire to spread quite quickly. It's a combination of low humidity and wind speeds today that are bringing in that high fire danger. So no campfires today in those areas. Please listen to the burn bans and, like I said, avoid any kind of activity that could generate a spark. Looking at those humidity values as we go through today, really concerned about the western half of the state. 28% humidity in Scottsbluff, 26 in Sydney. Now, if you look on the eastern side of the state, we're seeing those relative humidity values a little higher, back into the 40s and 50s, and then throw on some wind on top of that. That's where we're seeing high fire danger today.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have more on fires coming up in just a little bit. There's a live look at your Great Dane trailer Skycam in Wayne, Nebraska today, 8:01 Central Time. Sun's out this morning. Birds are out as well, as you can see. That's good. Not a lot of breeze. Really hasn't been much wind at all in northeast Nebraska of late. Going to be a hot day today. Temperatures approaching 90 degrees in northeast Nebraska. Morris will have all those details coming up in his full AccuWeather forecast later on this hour. But let's get you back to news. And we begin with a tragic story out of Omaha. Police telling us last night that they found the body of Avi Gorung, the 7-year-old who went missing at NP Dodge Park earlier this week. Omaha police said the Douglas County search teams retrieved the body from the Missouri River just under the Interstate 680 bridge. Police said deputies were in the process of wrapping up their search yesterday when they were approached by a fisherman who said they may have seen an object that maybe belonged to a child. The follow-up on that search led to the discovery of Goring. In other news, the State Patrol mourning the sudden loss of Trooper Nicholas Goodwin. The 37-year-old died yesterday in Scottsbluff, was a 14-year veteran of the State Patrol, served in the Carrier Enforcement Division. Trooper Goodwin was found early yesterday afternoon inside his patrol vehicle outside the State Patrol office with an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. The State Patrol has requested that the Scottsbluff County Sheriff's Office conduct an investigation into the incident. Well, the state of Nebraska not immune from wildfire season. This footage shows multiple crews working to contain a blaze last night in rural Morrill County out in the Panhandle. Officials at the scene say the fire south of the town of Reddington started after a lightning strike late yesterday afternoon. There have been no reports on how large the fire got or whether or not it had been brought under control as of this morning. An extension of the CDC's eviction moratorium, giving renters hit hard by the pandemic until the end of October now to tap billions of dollars in COVID-19 rental assistance still available nationwide, including tens of millions in Nebraska. For renters, that means having copies of everything from pay stubs to lease agreements on hand. Landlords also have information to hand over. Nonprofit officials say it's an opportunity to give renters a chance to get some much needed help.
It does give individuals and property owners a couple of extra months to make sure they apply for assistance. It allows agencies who are administering that assistance to process applications, get checks issued.
It can still take several weeks for the money to move, and for those worried about eviction, Legal Aid of Nebraska is advising renters to make sure they sign the CDC's declaration and hand it to their landlord in order to be protected. They also advise to show up in court with a copy of the declaration. A new poll shows most Americans support the CDC's new mask recommendations. The Quinnipiac University survey out yesterday indicates 61% of respondents agree with it. About a third oppose the mask recommendations. A 55% majority say they want to see masks in schools. Both of the issues split largely along party lines. More than half the respondents support vaccine mandates for healthcare and government employees. Fewer than half, though, want those requirements for students or business workers. Hastings College will be starting the semester with a mask requirement on campus. College officials say staff and faculty would be asked to wear masks while indoor facilities on campus, at least for the first 2 weeks of classes, though they're required in most places inside. Students would not be required to wear them inside dorm rooms. After the first block of courses ends August 31st, the college says they plan to decide what approach they'll take next. And about 4,000 students in Omaha and Council Bluffs public schools will be getting some school supplies that many families take for granted. United Way of the Midlands giving away boxes containing full-sized hygiene items to help students feel good and succeed when they return to class. Volunteers loaded boxes up with supplies, giving some parents one less thing to worry about as the school year starts.
We know 1 in 4 of the families in our community are making a tough choice between medication, food, soap, the most basics for their family. So we don't want families that have to make that choice.
More than 250 community members volunteered to put together the Shine Bright boxes, which will go to kindergartners, 6th and 9th graders in both Council Bluffs and Omaha schools. Still to come on NCN, no deal yet. We'll let you know what's next for the $1 trillion infrastructure deal and much more when we return. This is NCN.
Tune in to News Channel Nebraska this Sunday to watch the 60th annual Wilbur Check Days Parade presented by First Student. Our coverage begins at 2 p.m. Central, and you can watch all of the festivities statewide on any of these providers as well as your local cable provider. The parade will also be streamed online as well as on newschannelnebraska.com. Coverage also presented by Wilbur Care Center and the Wilbur Lions Club.
Welcome back to News Channel Nebraska, 8:06 Central Time. The Senate will have to wait until tomorrow at noon to move forward on an infrastructure bill after failing to do so last night. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer appears to be giving lawmakers a day to negotiate. After that, he says he wants to vote on shutting down debate on the $1.2 trillion plan.
Now we've worked long, hard, and collaboratively to finish this important bipartisan bill. The Senate has considered 22 amendments during this process, and we've been willing to consider many more. In fact, we've been trying to vote on amendments all day, but have encountered numerous objections from the other side. However, we very much want to finish this important bill.
Senators failed to reach an agreement on all those amendments yesterday, so it's unclear if Republicans will block the bill this weekend. Meanwhile, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office says the infrastructure plan being considered in the Senate will add $256 billion to projected deficits over the next decade. The plan has bipartisan support in the Senate, but some lawmakers say they wanted to see a CBO score before deciding whether to support the measure. It's not clear if the CBO's findings will sway lawmakers who were on the fence regarding the massive bill, while calling the deficit score a, quote, real problem, end quote. GOP Senator John Cornyn predicted the deal will pass the Senate. Community leaders in Gothenburg came together yesterday to announce a multi-million-dollar capital campaign project. Plans for a $10.9 million impact center unveiled at the Sun Theater. The multi-use facility will feature an early childhood care center, sporting facility, as well as an event center. Officials say they believe the project will help address child care and housing needs in the community.
We knew we'd have to have a large indoor space for kids to run around. We knew we had a need and a desire in our community to have more sports space, and so we kind of co-opted and said we can find a collaboration there. Same thing goes with the event center.
To date, more than $2.8 million in private funds have been pledged to the project. Organizers say they're working to finalize details on commitments that will total another $2.4 million. And a Central Nebraska Little League team getting ready to begin their regional competition. Yesterday, the Hastings Little League team shipped off to Indianapolis for the Midwest Regional as the Nebraska State champion, and they had an entire community of supporters there to see them off.
It means a lot to the team that people care this much about us going to the Little League World Series and all the parents going to see us.
After winning the Nebraska State Little League Championship, the group of 12-year-olds turned into fundraisers, raising more than $40,000 for their trip to Indy. Hastings opens their tournament tomorrow afternoon against a team from Fargo, North Dakota. Good luck to Hastings. We know you'll represent Nebraska well. Much more to come. We've got more news, details on potentially stormy weather, potential fire danger, and potential heat waves, all in your AccuWeather forecast later on this hour. But now time for today's live daily mass at St. Isidore's Catholic Church. You're watching NCN.
Today's morning mass is brought to you in part by these sponsors.